Alright guys, it's pretty loud in here, but I'm gonna try my best. So, what I do for a living is I do marble and granite countertops, as you can tell. And today we're cutting my personal kitchen, so I got a little bit of time to kind of explain what's going on. This is the first slab, number 1, and slab number 2. Right there. Okay? Out of the first slab, we're cutting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 pieces. I went ahead and got my pencil and my square. I squared off the piece and I marked each piece. Boom, boom, boom. That bottom row is 3, 4, and 5, and 6 with the piece behind the sink, the little bar. Okay? Now, I went ahead and I cut my 25.5-inch section on the front side. And I went all the way through the slab. The reason I went all the way through the slab is because I want to separate that piece from the island piece. That way, because these all have waterfalls. So there's going to be a waterfall edge. A waterfall edge is a 90-degree cut, or a piece of granite that goes 90 degrees, which is up and down. And then your regular normal countertop, which goes 180 degrees, which is side to side, left and right. And, you know, regular countertop. Right? This right here is an example. That's the island, and then this is the leg, right? This is the leg. Now the miter edge, the 45, is going to go directly straight through, right? But if I leave the pieces together like this, the way they are now, when I go to do my 45 cut, what's going to happen is the 45 is going to end up going into the other piece, and we don't want that. So because I have this much space left over on the slab, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the island over here, and that way I end up with this gap, this space in between pieces. Now, this cut right here wouldn't matter if I went into the other piece, because that's a leg also, so that's going to be 45 all the way through. But my island is 82 1/8, and that piece right there is 61 1/2. So 61 1/2 ends before 81. So if I were to miter that piece right there, the blade would go directly into my island, and that is a big no-no. You do not want that. That would ruin the entire job and cost us, you know, at least $2,500 for the slab. So what I'm doing is I went ahead, I cut the first cut all the way through. Then I cut the second cut all the way through. Now it's time to cut the island. What I did was I turned the table around, and now I'm going to scoot the island over here. So I just made my first cut to square it off. And now we're going to go 40 inches back to cut the other side of the island. And that's what we're doing now. So, let's go ahead and bring the blade over here, so I don't have to walk over there, then walk all the way back to the controls. And then keep going until I get the right measurement. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the blade over here next to the controls. And then I'm going to adjust it. That way I can measure it with my tape measure. Scoot the machine back, which is what I'm doing now. Go ahead and look for my tape measure, which I lose every day, all day long. Which, boom, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and try to do this with one hand. Switch phones. We need 40 inches for the island. So we're going to go all the way till we get to 40. I'm going to stop before, because I only got one hand, because I'm holding the phone with the other. Boom, stop before. Now we're right now at 40 1/4, around there. Now I'm going to adjust it till we got 40. And now I am going to go ahead and cut all the way through to get my island. So I'll do that now. That's exactly 40. Okay? And now you see, we got the space in the middle between the last cut and this cut. Blade, space. And now we got space to miter. So I'm going to go ahead and move the machine back and make this cut. And I do that with my controls. Now, there's a couple machines out there that you can do it automatically. I can do it automatically right here with this auto button. But I don't really, you know, we're old school over here, so we like to, you know, control everything. I don't like putting my jobs in the hands of a computer. If I had the exact software I needed to do that, then I would, but unfortunately, we're not there yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and make my cut all the way through. Boom. Now we just sit back and wait for it to get done. This is the job. So right now we're cutting this, and then this one later. That'll be one of the last cuts we make. And the bar behind it. This one. Which the measurements are not on the paperwork. So I'm just gonna cut what I got, leave it big, and hopefully it works out. Like I said, this is my personal home, so I'm not too worried about it. And I got plenty of material, so we'll see what happens. Another reason that I cut and leave the space in the middle like that is because my blade, my table, when I 45 it, it doesn't go past the slab. It won't go past that way and it won't go past this way. And when you 45, your blade's gonna be at an angle and you don't wanna dip into the material, you wanna pass through the material. So if I have to, I might need to separate that piece, move this one this way and this one that way to make sure that it cuts nice and square. I'll show you what I mean with the 45. Hit your tilt. Now I got a 45 cut. We need it to be 90 degrees, front and back. Boom, 90 degrees. So we're gonna start off by cutting the leg. Now, like I said before, let's see if the blade will go past so I don't have to dip into the material, which I know it won't. But for video's sake, I'll show y'all. I wish it did. Now that's how they get you with these machines. They give you a machine that's capable of everything, but they have upgrades, and for you to do exactly what I'm talking about, going a little bit past or a little bit past, the bridge would have to be a little bit bigger on both sides, so you have that extra length, and that extra length adds extra cost, and that extra cost is how they get you to buy the other machine. Now that right there is where my blade stops, right? So if you see, we're on top of the piece, right? I'm on top of the piece, and that's not good. I need it to be in so I don't plunge. I don't want to plunge on a 45. I'm sure people do it, and I'm sure that it's capable of doing it, but my machinery, I haven't had the best luck with it, and $2,500 bucks, $3,000 slabs is not the place to be practicing on. So what we're gonna have to do is, unfortunately, which I really don't want to do, is because the minute I move this material, I throw it off a square. Right now, the pieces are perfectly square. Left, right, up, and down, right? The minute I start moving it and pushing it back, I just threw off the square left and right. So when you do your miter, the miter might be 39 and 7/8 on one side and 40 inches on the back. So it's kind of one of those things that, you just gotta play with what you got, honestly. So right now, I think I'm going to, now what I could do is I can go take the piece out of the middle like I was saying, then put my blade there in the middle and then start my miter this way and start my miter backwards. That's an option. And that's probably what I'll end up doing. That way I don't have to move the pieces after I have them perfectly square. The issue is that I won't be able to take the blade out. I'll have to miter forward and then come back, put it back in the middle and then bring it up. Or come this way and do the exact same, go back in the middle and bring it up. So as of right now, The middle piece is where we're gonna, the only room we have for our blade to start the cut, and we're gonna have to go miter it, go through the piece, and then come back. And then same thing, miter it, go through the piece, and then go back to the middle. Our middle's gonna be our starting point. That way, we don't have any pieces that end up not square. That way, when we put our legs together, they're perfectly square, and it will be beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll get back to you guys. I'm gonna pause the video and then start once I get this middle piece out. That's the way we're gonna try it. If that doesn't work out because the middle section isn't big enough for my blade to go in there, then we're gonna have to go with plan B, which is moving the pieces around and trying to get them as square as possible, which will never be perfectly square because I cannot perform what the machine performs. So I'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, so this is what we got. Thank God it was enough to fit the blade in there. And now, when I miter this piece, I want to make sure that it's at the exact spot that we need it to. And like I said, I'm going to go forward, I'm going to go back in the middle, then I'm going to go backwards, and then I'm going to go back in the middle. All right? So I'm going to work on that. I'll see you guys in a minute. All right. So the legs I leave long, and I cut them down on site. And we've got plenty of room, so we don't really have to worry about the measurements too much, because I could always go forward more, go backwards more. This one over here is gonna have to be perfect though. So, matter of fact, let me see which pieces, let me see what I got.